Hi YouTube, welcome to Pagan Perspective. I am Megan, aka Spiritory, and today's Friday. Hi YouTube, welcome to Pagan Perspective. Today we are talking about shifts in our personal practice. So that's the question, is what's the biggest shift in our practice kind of to date? I thought about this a lot, and my practice hasn't shifted a whole heck of a lot. As most of you know, I am a hereditary witch. This is something that has been passed down. I've been this way since I was born, since I can remember. So not a lot has changed for me as far as the way that I practice. However, one thing that I would say that's been a nice shift has been two things. First has been my inclusion of new information, new things that I've learned. In particular, I have included a lot of Hindu gods and goddesses, Hindu deities into my practice. I really enjoy the Hindu pantheon. I really enjoy that culture, and it's something that I feel adds a lot to my practice. So that's one big shift, I guess you could say, is that I have added things in to my practice. I haven't taken anything away, but I've added it in. I would say the second big thing, though, that would be a shift in my practice is the way that I approach the world in a way. The way that I approach being engaged, being with somebody, being in a relationship, how I approach who I talk to, that sort of thing. When I was younger, I was very, how do you put it, like, this is who I am and I'm going to shout it from the rooftops, and if you don't like it, who cares, kind of thing, because I was so bullied for my religion. And so I became very hard-shelled about it. And it was just, no, there's no way, you're wrong, and you can't tell me that I'm a devil worshiper, and I'm going to come right back at you, and I'm going to tell you exactly what's what, and you're going to have to listen. That sort of thing. And then I kind of, got out of middle school and I realized, wait a second, probably not the best idea in the world. Mainly just because it got me into a lot of situations in which it just became frustrating. I mean, people, generally speaking, are not super inclined to change their beliefs just because they hear somebody speak. And that's kind of sad to me. I've been noticing this political climate too, that people will want one candidate and they'll start talking about reasons why they want that one candidate. And when you give them reasons why, well, actually, that's not the case. And actually, what about this and all this information you didn't know, and you thought you knew this person because they've been around forever, but actually they have a long history of doing a lot of not good things. And and people don't want to hear that. And people don't want to change their mind. They're so stuck in it, and it doesn't matter. I actually had somebody tell me that nothing I could say would change this person's mind. And I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, I get that. You're basically saying, well, I'm not going to listen to you. But to close yourself off to say that nothing would change your mind. I mean, I know that the candidate I'm supporting, I am a very big supporter, and I'll put it out there, I'm a Bernie supporter. I am. And I know that if something were to come up that Bernie had some sort of horrible skeleton in the closet, we found out that, it's really some mass murderer or something like that, then yeah, that might change my mind. So I'm never going to say that there's nothing that could change my mind. Now, is there not any? I mean, there's no skeletons in the closet, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm not too worried about there being something out there that's going to change my mind. However, I'm going to be open to it because there's always new information. That's why we have theories. We have the Big Bang Theory, right? Not just the television show. Well, most scientists will say, okay, this is how we understand the universe to have been created, and it's a theory because it is so well believed, well tested, well put into practice. I mean, this is the idea that people rally around, but they still call it a theory. And that's important. It's important that they call it a theory because what they're basically saying is we're not going to call this absolute fact. I would really challenge any scientist who says this is absolute fact. That really, anything in the scientific realm, anything that is said to be absolute fact, I would just worry about a little bit because there's always new information. There's always something new that's happening. And so when I think about my practice and I think about all of the new information that's coming in, that's what I decided. Instead of just fighting against these people who were basically saying things that I knew not to be true about my own religion, I felt like I had to fight back about it, to tell them the truth. And what I realized is that, in a way, what they were saying was their truth. And that doesn't mean it's true for me, but that's what they believe. And sometimes they're willing to hear something else, and sometimes they're not. And I had to recognize when those moments were that somebody might be open to hearing about somebody else's truth, and other times when they're not. And to not fight that battle, because in the end, it didn't leave me with a good feeling. It left me empty and tired and frustrated because I felt like I couldn't reach those people. And the truth is that I couldn't reach them. That they had decided, like this girl who said I would never change her mind about who she was going to vote for. These people have decided that they are never, ever going to change their truth. They're never, ever going to change their outlook. They're never going to allow new information to come in and go, wow, I never knew that. That might change the way I'm looking at things. And so I've changed and shifted in the way that I just deal with the outside world. And I guess you could say pick my battles. So that would probably be the biggest shift, I think, in my practice. I definitely am somebody who I want to be an educator. I want to help people learn and recognize that everybody has a different path to follow in this life, and that path is okay. Whether that be a Muslim, a Christian, a Jew, a pagan, a heathen, whatever it might be, that's the path that is right for them. Now, some people have multiple paths. Some people start down one path and then realize they need to go down another path. Other people start down a path and that's the path they'll have for the rest of their life. There's nothing wrong with that. Everyone has a path for a reason, or has multiple paths for a reason. That's what we all need. And every single one of those is okay and has value. And that person has value. Now, I know that my opinion isn't always shared by people. So I know that there are some people who believe that their path is so much so the only path that other people's paths don't have value. And that makes me sad. And it's hard for me to understand that, to be honest with you, because I don't come from that mode of thinking, that belief in that, well, my truth is the only truth and the only right truth. I don't get that, but I also wasn't brought up in an Abrahamic faith. And I know that that is part of some teachings of it, and it just doesn't compute for me. So for me, everyone's path is important, and everyone's path is just as valid as mine. And that's what I want to impart to my kids. Yeah, am I going to raise them pagan? Absolutely. They're going to learn the family tradition. But if they want to choose to go down another path, that's where they're led, and that's okay too. So I think that's probably the biggest shift I've had in my practice, is just feeling more open to recognizing that, not everybody is going to, not everyone is going to have the open mind that I would love it that they could have. And that's okay too. And I think, it actually is playing right out in this political season too that we have in this country. Sorry, for those of you in the United States, those of you not in the United States, I think that sometimes the U.S. politics can actually invade other countries as well. And in part, I feel bad for that. At the same time, I think that, what happens in the U.S. does affect a lot of the other countries in this world. And for the sake of everyone, I hope that the U.S. I hope we do good for everybody. I really do. I hope that we do well for the whole world, for Mother Earth. I hope that we can take care of her as much as she's taking care of us. And I hope that we all can try and keep more of an open mind and recognize that one person's path isn't always going to be our path, but that doesn't make it any less right or any less okay or wrong in some way. I think that for me, I just hope that we can all try and not just tolerate each other, but embrace each other. I mean, the word tolerance, I think it's important that we have tolerance, but at the same time, I wish we had more love. I think that we're missing out on a lot of that sometimes. And that if we had a little bit more love, I think that some of the hate that's been coming out of this country recently would stop. So, yeah, I think that's been my biggest shift. I guess a shift toward love. So, yeah. So that's about it. Oh, my eyes worked. So I now have 20/20 in each eye. It's awesome. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. It's been really, really great. And for me, with the right surgeon and everything, I recommend it. It was great. I know that some people haven't had luck with it, and I just feel very, very blessed that everything has gone okay and seems to be going okay right now, knock on wood. But yeah, so I will talk to you guys next week, and as always, blessed be.